Gog and Magog, when we hear their names, our minds stop imagining what they look like. We all think they're like zombies, but is that true? There are many theories that describe their forms and actions in the heavenly religions. So today we will present these theories and analyze them in this program.
Yagog and Magog are two tribes from the descendants of Japheth, the son of Noah. They were savages and barbarians, who mastered raiding, pillaging, killing and oppression since ancient times, and lived in the northern part of the Asian continent, in the north-southern Arctic Ocean. In the Islamic religion, they are described as having broad and relatively flat faces, short heads, short stature, stocky bodies, and very strong. They were wreaking havoc in the land until the righteous king Zulkarnain came, and the people of that country complained to him of their evil, and asked him to build between them and Yagog and Magog a dam to protect them from them. He built an impenetrable dam from cutting iron between two great mountains, then melted copper on it until it became more solid, and confined them to that dam and cut their evil from the world. As for the heavenly religions, it has been reported that the existence of Yagog and Magog are confined to the dam is only for a known time, so their emergence will be at the end of time, near the day of resurrection. A time when evil and corruption prevail over its people. There are different interpretations of the meaning of Gog and Magog, both linguistically and historically. Where Gog means mountain in Hebrew. In the Akkadian language, it means a precious ornament made of gold. Some believe that the name historically refers to Gaga, the Saki ruler, whose name is mentioned in the writings of Ashur-Yenbil. As for Magog, the Hebrew word means the land of Gog. There is also a belief that Gog is a person or tribe living in an area called Magog. Also the Syrians called the land of the Tatars with this name. And the Arabs called the land between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, the land of Magog. Magog, Scythian tribes, people knew them for the fierce conquests in Asia. They invaded Sars, the capital of Lydian, and defeated Khosroes, king of Media, and even reached Egypt. So King Apsmatic, pharaoh of Egypt, gave them a sum of money and expelled them from his country. Miss Lisa, all the monotheistic religions gave us information about Gog and Magog, so we want you to explain and analyze the Islamic religion's perspective on Gog and Magog.
Gog and Magog are foreign names that mean turmoil or flame of fire. Gog and Magog, a barbarian tribe that was corrupting the land and attacking its neighbors with murder, looting and theft. Their story was mentioned in the Noble Quran in the context of the story of Zulkarnain, a good believer king who conquered the country and spread religion among the pagan nations. And after Zulkarnain finished conquest of the country of the west, he turned towards the east and reached the first area where the sun rose, and it was an open land without trees or heights. Zulkarnain arrived on his journey to a people who lived between two mountains. The weather was very hot, so they wore very little clothes, like the tribes of Africa. And when they found him a powerful king, they asked him to help them repel Gog and Magog, who were attacking him and spoiling the land by building to fill this gap, in exchange for a sum of money to be paid to him. At first Zulkarnain did not understand their language, nor did they understand his, but they were able to understand each other through sign language. The good king agreed to build the dam, but it was an asceticism in their money, and he contented himself with asking for their help in building the dam and bridging the gap between the two mountains. In the Holy Quran, the words were used to express the word dam, as the normal dam, if any damage occurs on one side, will damage the other side, but this dam built by Zulkarnain is considered a shrine. Gog and Magog, where they will not be able to cross it. We also note that it is mentioned in the Quran that Zulkarnain used a distinctive engineering method to build the dam. So he first gathered the pieces of iron and put them in the pit so that the rubble was equal to the two heads of the two mountains, then he set the iron on fire, and poured molten copper on it until it coalesced and hardened. The Quranic verses included a clear indication that the survival of Gog and Magog trapped in the dam is for a known time. Because they will come out of the signs of the day of resurrection.
As you mentioned, they are in the east and the heat is intense there. So where do Gog and Magog live in your opinion?
Some studies indicate that the dam or backfill of Zulkarnain between Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan. Abdullah Shahbazi in his book, The Journey of Zulkarnain to the East, refers to a region located in western Kyrgyzstan and eastern Uzbekistan in a mountainous region on the border separating the two countries in Central Asia, where the Turkish people live. Uzbeks, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Turkmen and Uyghurs, Western China. Their presence extends to Azerbaijan, northwest Iran, Turkish Azerbaijan provinces, and Turkey. Dr. Mustafa Mahmoud pointed out their place in the North and South Pole, and pointed out that the traveler Al-Idrisi on the map of the Earth that he drew 10 centuries ago identified the location of Gog and Magog in northern Siberia. Dr. Mustafa refers to the noble verse, "Until he reached the rising of the sun, he found it shining on a people for whom we did not find a place where the sun was immersed." According to this view, this location may be in the North Pole, where the sun rises half the year and there is no night in these areas.
Mr. Henry. The Holy Quran told us about the journey of Zulkarnain to Gog and Magog. Is there additional information in the Bible or the Torah about Gog and Magog?
Magog is the second of the 7 sons of Japheth mentioned in the descendants of Noah. In the Old Testament, Magog is considered to be the land or country of a prince called Ugog. Mention of Ugog and Magog in the Bible. And he will go out to deceive the nations that are in the 4 corners of the earth, Ugog and Magog, to gather them for war, whose number is like the sand of the sea. This verse came under the title, Satan's Judgment, in the newly printed Bible. In the Torah, the name, Ugog, is given as the name of a king who rules over a land called, Magog, or a people called by that name, and this king will invade the land of Israel before the last day, but he and his people will be killed in a massive massacre. There are some notes I would like to add about the Zulkarnain trip. Zulkarnain was traveling with his army in the land, so he headed west, until he reached the setting of the sun, which some Muslims say, such as the researcher Ahmed al-Sheikh in his book, Ain Zulkarnain and its place, that what is meant by it is the North American continent, because it is the last continent from which the sun sets every day. The researcher also said that Zulkarnain found in the North American continent a large eye in which a person can see the sun setting and can also see it setting in the seas, which is the eye of Yellowstone Lake. Located in Yellowstone National Park.
Mr. Henry, why was he called Zulkarnain?
Was called Zulkarnain because it went to the farthest part of the land in the west and the farthest in the east. There is another explanation that the reason for this name is the cracking of the horns of his head. But these interpretations are not agreed upon. A number of ancient Persian and Arab historians saw that Zulkarnain is Alexander the Macedonian. Because the coins in the era of Alexander the Great had his picture on it and on his head 2 horns of a ram. As some say that Ugog and Magog are zombies, and this is not true because Ugog and Magog eat everything, humans, dry lands and trees, and drink rivers and oceans until they dry up. So we are in front of unimaginable beings.
Yagog and Magog is a true story, and not a science fiction, mentioned in all the heavenly religions. It may be time for them to leave. So what if they come out? What will you do? Write to me in the comments, and also I am waiting for your opinions on today's episode and your suggestions for topics that you prefer for the upcoming episodes. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Envato.